Okay, so with our barrels, we're going to hide those. And if you've still got the same thing, we're going to hide that barrel. And we are going to make a wooden table. So let's go ahead and add in a mesh, a cube. And this cube here, I'm going to go straight into edit mode. We're going to make some wooden planks for it. So I'm going to scale it along the Z axis. I'm going to scale it in along the Y axis. Maybe make it a little bit thinner so we get some wooden planks here, and scale it along that X axis. Now, just one thing to be aware of when you're scaling, make sure that at the top, in that top left corner, it's up here when I go into scale, that I don't go into negative scaling mode up here. It'll look fine, the model will look fine until I go to apply materials and do other things to it, and it will look really bizarre. So just be aware of that. That looks pretty good there. I'm going to add some ring cuts to this, Control R, and cut maybe 8 or so across. And then I'm going to grab some of these. So I'm going to hold Alt and click on them to select them. If I go into top view, which is 7, or I can click the Z up here, I can just move this a little bit. I'll grab this one, I'll just move it that way a little bit, and this one, and that one. Holding Alt each time that I select them. So what Alt does when I make a selection, that last one didn't work. When I hit Alt and click on an edge, it will select the entire edge loop. So going all the way through, except it doesn't work on edge like faces at the end here. So I have to actually select all of these manually, and go into top view. I can move that a little bit. All right, so now I've got a plank of wood. Now with this plank of wood, I'm going to duplicate it a couple of times. So Shift D, and I'm going to move it along the Y axis. Now the problem with this is it looks very much the same. It looks exactly like a duplicate. So I'm going to rotate it around that Z axis 180 degrees. Now you could do it this way, R, Z, and just kind of hold control and rotate it. And now it doesn't look exactly the same. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate again, move it along that Y axis like that. And you see this one looks exactly the same. So I'm going to flip it, but I'm going to flip it this time along the X axis. So RX 180, hit enter. And then I could probably move it in along that Y axis a little bit like that. And so now with that, I've got these three that I'm going to duplicate. Shift D, move them along that Y axis to about there. Okay, so I've got kind of a wooden table. So let's go underneath the model, underneath here. I'm going to add a mesh, another cube. We'll scale this one down. I might actually just get rid of one of those. We'll just have 5 planks. Scale this, go into edit mode. Oops, made a mistake there. You can switch between the different view modes up here. So this is kind of material preview, then solid mode. I may as well work in material preview for now. S in edit mode, SZ, scale that down pretty thin. GZ, move it down a little bit. And I want it to kind of intersect with those, but not too much. And then if I look under here, we'll go S and then X and scale it in. S and then Y. Scale it along. And I'll do the same thing that I did before. Add a couple of ring cuts on this. I'll go into top down view. I'll just move that way. Select those ones, move that way. If I can't see them, I might go underneath, but that looks pretty good there. And I'm going to duplicate that. Shift D, and I'll move that along the X axis to there at the end. Shift D, move it along the X axis to there. And then I've got the top. Now this could actually function also as a door. In fact, if I got one of these here, Shift D, and then move it up, GZ, just a little bit. Rotate it along that Z axis like that. I've basically got a door that I can use. And I'm going to remove that one for now, but I could create a door with that. Now we want some legs on the bottom of this table. So these legs are going to be a little bit chunkier than the table legs, and we're going to make them kind of like a cross brace legs. So with this, I'm going to select that, and over here you'll see that for some reason I've also selected the light. I don't want to select the light. I'm going to hit B and select those, and I'm going to hit M and move it to a new collection, and this is going to be called tabletop. Okay, so everything there is under that tabletop. So if I select tabletop, it selects all of this stuff in here. Well, it will hide, it won't select all of it, but I can group it together. That way I can hide it all together. Keep it back here for now. I'm going to add a mesh, a cube, and this cube I'm going to immediately move along the y-axis, along the x-axis to about here. GX. Roughly there. I'm going to edit mode, scale that down. So I've kind of got some chunky wood. And then I'm going to scale it along the z-axis. Like so. I'll go like that there. I'm going to rotate this one along the x-axis about 90 degrees like that. Okay. Then I'm going to move it down. And what I'm going to need to do here is I'm going to have to modify this a little bit. So I'm going to add a ring cut, just one, and move it up to about here. Okay, because I need to pull this edge down. So I click this edge, and I'm going to hit G and then Z. I'm going to pull it down so I can't actually see it anymore. It doesn't matter if it's not flat in there. I can move the whole model down a little bit. We just want to make it so that, and I'll move it across so it kind of goes in there. Just want to make it so that it doesn't go through this model here. And we'll need to also do that at the bottom. So I'm going to add a ring cut. I'm going to pop that ring cut about there. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky, because what I want to do is I want to move this up to match this area here, so it's kind of flat across there. There's a few ways I can do this, but the easier way is probably just to delete this edge completely. So delete those vertices, not the vertices, delete the edge. No, I do want to delete the vertices. And then select this edge and hit F. And then scroll the other side, select this edge and hit F. That's going to add a new face. I could also add a face at the bottom, select those edges and hit F, and that will add a face to the bottom, like that. Now with this, I am going to add a few more ring cuts to it, like so. Actually, no, what I want to do is I want to add in a modifier, a mirror modifier, and switch it to that y-axis, like that. That means I don't need to modify the other one. I don't want to mirror along the x-axis. So if your model is in the wrong place and it doesn't look quite right, you may have to select everything, hit G, and kind of move these things around along the different axes until you get it looking roughly like that. Okay, and then we've got that there, and I can just duplicate this, Shift D, move it along the x-axis down to about there, and we've got our table, kind of medieval style table. Now this looks too smooth compared to the top. Probably want it to be a little bit rougher. I might actually select both of these and move them across a little bit. G, Y, move them maybe to there. And I maybe want them to be a little bit rougher. So what I can do, I'm just going to one, these are duplicated using Alt D. So I can, actually I didn't duplicate it using Alt D, so I'll delete that one. Alt D, duplicate it, move it to there. Now if I select this one, it will modify the other one. I'm going to add a couple of ring cuts in here. And I'll go to sculpt mode. And I'll just click on a few of these. I've got the strength down really low. Oops, didn't want to do too much there. Oh, okay, so I can just kind of modify that just subtly, not over the top. Okay, and then we get these kind of rough looking legs. So now we've got a table. The only thing left to really do here is to probably get out of sculpt mode, go back to object mode, and maybe make some of these a little bit shorter. Select these edges, the faces on these edges, G, X. You can select all of them at once and go into edit mode, or let you edit multiple objects, which is sometimes a little bit easier. So I might grab both of those and pull them out along the X-axis, but not too much. And then I'll grab this one here and maybe this one here and move them in along the X-axis. Okay, so we've got a nice looking table. Now materials, finally we get to the materials, and I'm just going to add in the wood materials, but I'm not going to create a new one. I'm just going to select the existing one that's there. Dark wood, 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 dark wood, and wood. And so we've got some little bit of variation there. This one will be wood, and then these ones under here, which I probably should have duplicated rather than make individual, should be dark wood or wood. It doesn't matter. But and then we've got our table. Select the whole thing, hit M, move to a new collection and call it table. Click OK. Now we've got tabletop and table. Tabletop has nothing in it anymore, so I can delete that. And we've got the table there as well. So we've got our barrels and we've got our table. Now in terms of scale, the barrels are way bigger than the table, but that's okay because we made everything in proportion. It's very easy to scale this up and down, and same with the barrels. Same with our ruined wall, which is currently hidden. We could scale that up, down, and so on.